Good day to you, coming to you live and in color or precision audio, whatever. What's up, everyone? Zack Miller here. Hope you're doing great. You know, I feel like I talk a lot, I talk a lot with people, and I say, here are my predictions. And I say about some of my predictions on specific shows, but not in one kind of concise place. And so some of the things that I've had written down for a while are starting to happen. And so I find it important that I should probably give you a what's on the horizon, in my opinion, standpoint. And so I got a couple of things that I believe from marketing perspectives, from business perspectives, and just all around general world things that I think are going to happen in the coming months. And I thought I'd share them so that when they do happen, I can come back and say, told ya. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever all of you are listening. Appreciate the love and kindness. If you want to battle me on one of these things, then let's do it. All right, so 7 things that I think are going to happen in the next coming months. Let's just say less than 24 months. It's July 22nd as I'm recording this. The first thing I'll tell you is that the way that I've done a solo episode on this before, but I'm going to do all of these together. So your text are the next email from a sales perspective. Now, what I mean by that is not like the ad that you get where Chipotle says text 5 numbers and then there's going to be some mass blast email. I believe that the same way that people used to feel comfortable on emails by having kind of proposals sent that way, it's going to now start happening through your whatever messenger system is, and through text messages, right? So it's where people are comfortable, right? Forever, people were very comfortable and their safe zone was email. Now it's text messages. Also, wherever you can really just receive a direct message, right? And so if you really think about it, emails are also kind of like direct messages. So whether you're direct messaging someone on Facebook or Instagram or text message, it's all kind of the same thing. But I believe that you're going to start having one-to-one business done that way, not in the mass kind of ways like you would, text this number to whatever and receive some sort of promo, not like that. But when you're doing, when you're having one-on-one conversations with people, I believe that you're going to continue to see that, and you're going to make that's going to become the norm. People will be having conversations just like you will on your normal text messages. I don't even know what they call that kind of standard thing, but just when you receive a text message, that's going to be the norm where people do business. Now, I don't think it's going to last forever. Something else will happen at some point, but that's where it's going to be, right? So text messages will be the place, direct messages will be the place where business goes down one-to-one, and that is a very underutilized place where people still are very nervous to do it, which means that's a great place to do it because no one else is really doing it yet. At some point, probably by the time we get to 24 months from now, it'll be overwhelming and it might lose its thunder. But if you aren't doing your business in direct messages and in text messages, I think you're missing a huge opportunity because that's where people's safe zone is. Obviously, don't be a donkey and bombard them with BS that they don't want to see. But when you're having a conversation with someone there, don't take them to a different media just because you don't feel comfortable with it. Like a text message, I think, is just fine. Number 1, your text are the next email from a sales perspective. Number 2, we will see the continuation of sound-based everything, right? So you've seen smart speakers become this huge thing, and you've seen Alexa become this huge thing, podcast, audiobooks. Obviously, you guys are listening to this, Zack Miller Says show. You have my audiobook and millions of others. But there's something else in there called an Alexa flash briefing, which I think is really interesting in here, and here's why. When the traditional media, when your traditional television stations get a hold of something and market it, it becomes this huge avenue for you. That hasn't really happened since Twitter in like 2009 and 2010 timeframe. So it's been almost a decade since your traditional media has really pushed a new media, if you will, and that is Alexa flash briefings, where they say, hey, subscribe to my flash briefings. It's basically like your daily news of the day from that traditional media company or wherever your flash briefing is. And I believe that because of your traditional media companies promoting it that way, you're just going to continue to see it. So if you were to want a flash briefing, you simply subscribe the same way you would subscribe to like a newsletter, if you will, but you just go to Amazon, or you tell your Alexa device, hey, Alexa, I want to subscribe to whatever show. My show currently is not a flash briefing, but it could be, right? I probably should do that. It would make sense that I would, do the things that I say, but I see it growing and being there. And so I think if you're looking for an avenue that hasn't been occupied heavily yet, that's probably one that you should probably get on, because it's something easy. And tech is not like what it was 10 years ago, where it was difficult to get on stuff like this. Now it's simply an RSS feed, which basically says, take your content and upload it to this place. It's really that simple. But I believe that Alexa flash briefings will continue to grow. Look, they're probably going to turn into video as well, and a bunch of other things with that. But Alexa flash briefings, because they're getting they're getting their marketing being pushed by traditional media, I think that's a huge opportunity that no one's talking about, and I think that most people should jump on that. I should too. The only thing I will say is that flash briefings are supposed to be 10 minutes or less, which is one of the reasons why I haven't done this, because the show usually is 10 minutes and 1 second long. But if you haven't yet, I'll definitely check out that. Number 3, jean jackets. I believe that jean jackets are making a comeback tour. Yes, I started wearing one back in February, and I started this trend. So, yes, I believe that I am the trendsetter with jean jackets, and people will start to wear them again. Simple. It's as simple as that. I started this trend. I'm re-pioneering the jean jacket wearing style. And if you got beef with that, then don't wear a jean jacket. But look, they're coming back, and it's because of me. Hashtag jean jacket life. Bam. Number 3 was jean jackets. Number 4. Here's something that I don't think I've heard anyone talk about anywhere. I believe that the way that your mobile applications were so popular back in the early 2010s, so when you got your iPhone or your Android device and then you got an app with it, people were building apps left and right. I think that's slowed down big time in the last few years, but there's something new that's popping up that no one is really talking about. OTT. So over-the-top networks are like your Netflix, your Hulus of the world. And a lot of businesses are starting to create their own networks. Obviously, my favorite, the WWE Network, just $9.99 at www.network.com. This is not an ad yet. But yes, if WWE wanted to throw some Benjamins at me, like lots of Benjamins, then yeah, sure. This could be an ad for that. But a lot of your traditional media companies are creating their own networks, and I believe the same way that applications were being created for the better part of the last decade, even more than the last decade, you're now seeing that slow down, I believe, and you're going to start to see this network ramping up where people are becoming their own media companies. Why? Because they want you to give them some sort of dollar value per month, $10 to $20 a month, in a subscription model, and they want you to watch their content on a device, on a platform that they own and can control. So it makes a ton of sense. So continue to look out for that. Disney is supposed to be coming out in the next few weeks, few months, and I believe that you're going to see even more and more and more of these networks being created by your already existing brands, and you'll see other OTTs created as well, right? And that is something that no one is talking about, but I believe it is on the horizon. So the same way that applications were being built by the ridiculous amounts, I believe that you're going to start to see that in the same way that you're going to see these media companies and other businesses and brands create these networks of their own. I think it makes a ton of sense. And I think most people aren't even catching on to this yet. And yet they can create this content for their networks to have it, and they own it forever. WWE is probably the best in the world at this. People will get mad at me for that, but they've created amazing streaming networks, and a lot of people are copying it. And you're going to start to see the NFL do their whole network. You're seeing Disney come out. Obviously, Netflix has been doing theirs for a long time. I mean, Netflix spent $8 billion on production last year alone. So this stuff is not going anywhere. And people are consuming 12 hours of media content a day. Humans, adults, are consuming 12 hours, 11-ish hours of media content a day. What makes you think that this is not going anywhere? More content is going to be created, and people want to house it on their own platforms that they can control and get paid for it. Why give all the money to YouTube when they can create it themselves and they already have all the contact information for people? Makes a ton of sense. More people need to realize this is happening. If you can create your own network, you should start doing that. Number 5. I've been saying this for a long time, and I think it got announced last week, but I have to say it here. Netflix creates amazing entertainment that has subscribers in the 140 million range. Okay, people are binging, like I just said, hours, almost a dozen hours of media content a day. That's not just on Netflix, but they're binging it like crazy. Now, so my number 5 and number 6 are both about Netflix. But I said that when Netflix gets a huge A-list celebrity, it's the mic drop. Netflix has been producing amazing content, but they didn't really have the A-list celebrity in their prime. Now, some people might debate this, in their prime to go with. Until last week when they announced that The Rock, that guy behind me, is going to do a Netflix first, I believe, movie. So not to theaters first, to Netflix first, right? And so Sandra Bullock might have been the biggest one when you had the blindfolded movie, whatever that was called, Bird Box, right? Adam Sandler not in his prime, but still gets made a lot of money, sure. But who was the biggest actor in the world, and would they ever go to Netflix first? I've been saying it for over a year. When The Rock does it, it's a mic drop. It's happened with Netflix. And so I believe that you'll see more subscribers than ever when that comes out, and you'll see the most binge content probably ever. I mean, his content is selling something like tens of billions of dollars a year in his movies. So he has a huge network of people, and now all they have to do is go on to Netflix to see it. I'm telling you, people, watch out for that. And he's the biggest celebrity ever, the biggest entertainer, the biggest actor ever to be on Netflix. That's a big mic drop, right? That's a big change in the old traditional movie setting. So I wonder how they pay him. I don't know. That's interesting. So huge A-list celebrity going to Netflix first. That's number 5. And number 6, Netflix. So I'm putting some data together on some of these things, and this is what I'm starting to think. So you're starting to see Netflix create a ton of series, right? You're starting to see Netflix create content that is being consumed in binging kind of ways, right? Think Stranger Things, right? So they create these episodes 55 minutes long, just like a normal sitcom, but instead of creating it to wait for the next week, they're creating it so that you binge to that next episode, into that next one. And so people are binging. I think the number is 6 hours of actual Netflix a night is what that those series are seeing. Something like that, 5 or 6 hours a night. So what I think is going to happen is Netflix is going to flirt and maybe actually challenge the status quo here and start to create movies and or TV series that are super long. So I believe that we could see a movie up to 12 hours on Netflix in the next 24 months. A one-sitting 12-hour session, maybe it's too extreme, but you're already starting to see some of these other series flirting with the 200-minute mark, and people are watching, those 3 and 4 part series in its totality. What makes you think that they're not going to go with just a really long one when people are already binging at that length already? Now, I don't know what that movie would be, right? Probably something action hero-y. I don't know. But I believe that Netflix is going to start creating content that is 12 hours long in one kind of go. We'll see. Maybe it's too long. But if people are already binging 6 hours of content and they're binging 12 hours at a time a day, what makes you think that that can't be possible? I think it's very possible, and we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. So, number one, your text are the next email. One-to-one text is going to be your sales platform. Continue with sound with like your Alexa Flash briefing. I think that's going to continue to be huge. I think the numbers went from like something crazy from in December of 2017, 67 million people owned a smart speaker. And a year later, that was a 78% increase. This is from an NPR article, December 2018, 118.5 million smart speakers. So smart speakers are there. No one's really jumping on Alexa Flash briefings yet. There's only like 10,000 shows. Huge opportunity there. Jean jackets. Yes, I brought them back in February of 2019. Guess what? It's going to continue to grow. People want to be a part of the pioneering nation, the Anomaly nation, with me, Zack Miller, and jean jackets are becoming a thing again. Look, I get it. Sometimes I start trends. Sometimes people copy it. It happens. I'm very proud of that moment. A huge A-list celebrity is going to Netflix first. It happened last week with The Rock. Netflix will start creating 12-hour TV shows in one episode, not 12 hours, or like really long kind of movies, documentaries. I don't know what type of content it will be, but I believe you're going to see it up to the 12-hour mark, probably 6 to 12-hour mark. They'll probably flirt with the 6-hour mark next. OTT is the new application, so where everyone was building, all these businesses and brands are building their own applications. I now believe they're creating their own OTT networks where they get their consumers on their network and they show them content over and over and over again. Think of it as the playlist or the specific channels that you subscribe to on a YouTube, but you pay a specific channel for very specific content on their own network. ESPN does this with Watch. Disney's coming out their thing. Traditionally, you know about it through Netflix and Hulu. WWE Network is a huge one, 2 million subscribers. Not an ad, but they could pay me if they wanted to. And so many more, and I think so many more are coming down. You're going to see so many more of these OTT networks, these networks that brands own, coming in the future. And so be on the lookout for those and start saving $15 a month because it's going to happen. And the final one, which I've been saying for 2 years, and I think it actually might be starting to be happening, is Chick-fil-A will retire the My Pleasure, kind of thank you, my pleasure quote, and they will release a new dominant phrase. Now, they still say my pleasure, but on their onboarding, if you've noticed, when you check out at a Chick-fil-A, they are now asking you for your name. So it might be that they are tweaking that change because other people are copying it. And I understand that they don't want their super positive communication and customer service to start to be thought of with other negative brands, right? When you think of McDonald's, you probably think negative. When you think of Chick-fil-A, you probably think positive. When you hear My Pleasure, you think Chick-fil-A. When you hear My Pleasure at McDonald's, you don't want the negative piece to be associated rolling out to Chick-fil-A. And so I believe that Chick-fil-A will retire the My Pleasure quote, the mindset, the customer service phrase, My Pleasure, officially in the next 24 months. And I believe they might even be starting to roll it out by asking people's names to start. And I don't know what the new My Pleasure will be, but that's what I think. Those are the things that I think are on the horizon. And we'll see what happens. I think more and more and more people, you just change things up. You switch things up, right? You're not going to start thinking negative about Chick-fil-A because they changed that. You're going to think, wow, this is a new, fresh thing, and that's going to be the thing that people talk about. So, things that are on the horizon. Chick-fil-A is going to retire My Pleasure to a new dominant phrase. What is it? I don't know. In the comments, let me know what you think the phrase could be. But they have done such a good job at making My Pleasure so popular. I believe that you might as well retire something on the top. Netflix will create long programming, 6 to 12 hours long. They will flirt with it. They're already, in my opinion, flirting with it a little bit, but they're going to flirt with it to the more extent. To a bigger extent, I think you could see up to a half a day long content. A huge A-list celebrity going to Netflix first. You saw The Rock announce it last week. OTT is the next app. Jean jackets. Bam, I'm not wearing one because it's too hot. No, it's because I forgot to bring one up when I started recording. Continuous sound, the continuation of sound. They'll probably add video into that soon. More video into stuff like that. But Alexa Flash briefings are going to continue to get huge, I think. And your text to the next email. What's on the horizon? That's what I think. We'll see. I could be wrong. I could be spot on. I could be somewhere in the middle. But I can tell you this. I don't know what I was going to say. But I'll tell you this, because I'm going to do it again. These are things that I look at from a data perspective. I look at how people are already consuming stuff and saying, this is interesting. They're still very underutilized. They're still very under talked about. And I think that you're starting to see these major brands get behind it. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think OTT is the next app is a huge one. And I definitely think sound is definitely going to happen. And I definitely think Netflix is going to flirt with very long content. Maybe it won't be in the 24-month range, but we'll see. That's all I got for today. I appreciate you listening to what I think is going to happen in the future. And would love to know what you think is going to happen. Simply comment wherever you're listening. And if you haven't yet, I'm told I have to ask you guys to subscribe to this because I want you to listen to me every time I go live or release a new piece of content. So wherever you subscribe to these things, I guess you should subscribe because it sounds fun. Should I shave my head? I'm thinking about shaving my head. What do you think? That would be a blockbuster, huh? Thanks for listening. Peace.